So he had good stands both ways, but he definitely had good stands in the no-till situation. So those of y'all who want to do something no-till on sloping land, you might could do something. Here's some common concerns when replacing toxic soil fescue. Will the stands revert back to toxic fescue? There's always going to be that pressure in nature. Again, 40 million acres. We've created an unbelievable contamination zone out there. So there's always going to be pressure in nature to revert back. What can you do? So what we do know is that you still will retain a high percentage of those non-toxic plants that you've planted. If you manage to keep vigorous plants, you want to keep your fertility, you want to do good fescue management. You want to fertilize at the right time, you want to pull animals off the right time, you want to do the things that Virginia Tech has been telling you for years. Toxic seed are not present in the seed bank. That's why we're telling you to mow the heads off the previous spring. Because how long will that seed remain in the soil? We found that they can remain for about 15 to 18 months. So if you've mowed off those seed heads, those toxic heads in the spring, say you mowed them off in May. Well, see, the only seed that's out there is the ones that was the previous May. That's 12 months. Then you plant another 3 months, you're at about 15 months. So the seed bank has deteriorated. That's one reason that's really critical, that you try to keep the seed bank that previous spring as low as you can. So this is something you need to think about. I don't know how critical it'd be. This is, again, a great area, John, for more research, is if you skip that spring or didn't think about it, and all of a sudden now I just want to go do my spray, plant, what am I sacrificing here? What am I doing? Again, you're just trying to do things to minimize toxicity. So that's why preventing that seed formation, the spring and establishment year is very important. Can toxic seed be important from animals? Yep. Found out that you probably need, if you're moving animals from a toxic pasture to a non-toxic pasture, you probably need some clean out period. You need to be on something where you hem them up and give them some hay or something from something else, where you need at least 2 or 3 days. This was some work done by John, and he still had a few after a couple of days, but it went down to near zero as far as the clean out. And it's only an issue when they're grazing seed heads or they've got hay that's got seed heads in it. But if you're it's always a good plan not to move from toxic pastures to non-toxic pastures. You can go the reverse, but not go that way. At least not without a clean out. And I love this picture. This was a big ring was out there in a hay bale. It just planted itself. So if you bring in toxic hay, you're just contributing, especially if you're feeding on the pasture. You're just planting toxic fescue now. So just know that you're going to have to try to do everything you can to minimize toxic plants going in there. So going back to the original thing I was asking you, what is this costing you? What can we live with? I think was the original charge that Matt gave me. With prices being this good, what are they costing you? If you can gain another 50 pounds or 100 pounds on an animal at these prices, I don't know how much it costs to replace, Chris. I guess we got all kind of numbers, but or to mitigate, or both. Hopefully both. If you're still not convinced, let me just say that you ought to try just something simple on your own farm. First of all, get your area sampled, and if it's hot, maybe just put your fence and do that spray thing on about 5 or 10 acres where you can put 2 groups of animals in and just observe them. First of all, to give you some experience, on a small acreage, can I replace? What am I doing? In other words, I think it'd be worth it, and then you just keep, looking at groups of animals and how they respond. You actually can, you can take some weight gains on them, I'm sure. Matt could probably even help you with. And then get some ergovaline samples and just see how low can you get them and then compare. So that's one thing you could do. But anyhow, again, my main message is toxic alkaloids are bad. In fact, I'm going to get into my preaching mode, they're evil. I'm fixing to get into evangelism now. I mean, they're evil. So you got to do everything you can. You're never going to get rid of all of them, but you need to get it where you can manage them and they're not managing you. Anyhow, I appreciate y'all coming out, listening to somebody from Georgia, and I guess Matt, whatever you want to do from here, Matt or John, yeah.